The Sniper Elite series has always been a weird series that I would always see and be played, but never really talked about at length. The most I ever heard about it was that it was famous for its ball shots, but that's it. It's a series I've always been interested in, and I've dabbled in a game or two here and there. But today we're going to do a deep dive on the entire series, minus the zombie game though. Alright, so no fucking around, let's just get into this shit. I'm going to be discussing each game in two categories, in order not to waste time, plus it will be more of a rapid fire retrospective than some of you might be used to. This isn't no Retrospective or white light videos here, or levels of quality, so sorry about that. We'll be talking about the level design, gameplay, and things each game could improve on. You know, just a simple run through of all the games, giving you a little bit of background on it as well. No story, because who really cares? You're a sniper and there's Nazis, and just shoot them in the balls. No questions asked here. So let's get it. So this is the one I've played the least for obvious reasons. And let me just get this out of the way. This game has not aged well, and I don't know if I could even call it a good game in general. I played the PS2 version, and going through all the options and messing with the controls, it was already clear to me that this ain't it. Thankfully, controls were bindable and you were able to change it however you'd like them, but even then, it still ain't it. The presentation of the game is well done for a PS2 game, but without further ado, let's get into the nitty gritty. From the first 3 levels I played, and those were the only ones I played because I could not stand going through more of this pile of shit, levels are very open, but are filled with very muddy textures and a whole lot of gray and brown and shit on the screen. The resolution didn't help either. I was using an HDMI adapter for the PS2, which sort of kind of helped, but even then, not too much. Having to squint most of the time to try to find enemies, and sometimes I wouldn't even notice they were there because of how shit the textures are, and it would blend into the very muddy and nasty textures in this game. This is the first game I ever had a problem with that. I've never been one to care about graphics as much, but when your graphics are so bad that I can't even tell where the enemies are, that's a real big problem there. And for a sniper game, doesn't really give you much to work with either. Most of the time you're on the ground, and the game rarely gives you the chance to get some high ground, and like I said before, even if you do, you can barely see where the fuckers are most of the time, because everything just looks like a big giant mesh of shit. Aiming down your sights doesn't help either. You can aim down like a normal third person game, but then you can do your sniper aim, but even then, the reticule is kinda not that good. The crosshairs are fine, I guess, but the field of view you get when zoomed into your sniper barely helps trying to distinguish where enemies are and if you can even reach them at all. Hell, the first level has you going against 3 tanks, which you aren't supposed to fight and are actually supposed to be trying to avoid and sneak around them. It doesn't really help when you walk into a room and there's a cutscene that plays that it just runs into that room you just were in, and it just says, alright, fucking figure it out. Which threw me off a lot, because at first I thought that this was supposed to be a stealth sniping game in World War II, not Call of Duty again, but that's just me, you know. But even if you do get a chance to try to sneak around these tanks, it also gets annoying when you're dealing with soldiers and trying to figure your way out of this mess that you can't even distinguish which way is up, or simply to your next objective. Yeah, surprise, gameplay ain't that great either. Controls just don't feel good or that responsive even after changing them into a more manageable way or a slightly more modern control scheme. Most of your actions and movements feel so clunky, and the shooting is unbearable due to the fact that there's a lack of aim assist or good sensitivity control. There are a few cool things here and there. The breath control, which is the first time you actually see it in the series, it's what you might expect from any sniping game, and then even then I didn't even notice a change in anything when I was trying to do the breath control actions. Dragging bodies to hide them was pretty cool, and I don't remember seeing this in much in games at the time other than Hitman, but that's it. I don't really know what else to tell you. Honestly, everything in this game could be improved. It's got some interesting ideas, but never fully realizes them or shows something that really impresses. This feels like a test game that someone made overnight because someone forgot to tell them that their game is due on Friday, and just told them to make some sniping game, and this is all they got. An alpha build for something that is kind of about sniping, I guess. Anyway, moving on. So this was my introduction to this series. I don't remember how exactly. It was either from a video or the demo I played on the PS3, but I remember playing the first level a lot and really enjoyed what I played and wanted to play more, but I was broke, so I accepted my defeat. I just remember how satisfying it was shooting and how the X-ray cams blew my mind and how they were so awesome and gory and shit, and I swear I'm not a psychopath. I just found these bone-crushing, gut-wrenching X-ray cams to be so satisfying. About a year ago, I picked up the remaster and played the first level and felt that rush of nostalgia for a bit. Played a little bit of the second level and then immediately dropped it because other games came out at the time. So now is a perfect time to get back into it. Levels in this game compared to the first are a lot more linear, and at first I was worried about it, but honestly it's not that bad. They're still pretty open and give you a good idea of where you need to be going and what you need to do. Further on, the levels get bigger and give you more options of where and how to navigate through a level. But most are pretty linear, point A to point B, and I didn't mind it. They finally give you chances to get high grounds and such, and even added these moments of opportunity in most levels where a loud sound would play, making it so that if you time your shots and it's during the small window of opportunity, you can mask your shots and no one could notice you shooting. Since this is a World War II shooter and there weren't any suppressors back then, I think. I don't know. Y'all can correct me on that, but from what we've seen, yeah, you can't suppress your snipers in this series or in any World War II games I've seen so far, other than Call of Duty, but we don't talk about that right now. And honestly, I thought this idea was really cool. However, I didn't really like that some of the windows of opportunity were super short. Like half a second at most sometimes. That I was just waiting and it gave me 1 second to react to it. And I just thought that was kind of bullshit sometimes. Most levels are pretty varied in level design, despite all looking pretty samey. This is what kind of turned me off at first, but it kind of grew on me, seeing that sure they might all look the same, but each has its own distinct characteristics. The first level is open and linear, giving you clear sight lines to ease you into the mechanics and into the sniping. The next level is more close quarters and reliant on stealth, since you're surrounded by all these guards and all you have is your well rod. Sure, you can snipe, but not really a viable option here. The super close quarters, and there's dozens of guards in this facility. Other highlights include the rooftop sniper duels and a couple levels later, fighting two groups of soldiers that were already in conflict and trying to escape. And then there's also the escape from the burning church while tanks and soldiers are trying to shoot at you. I thought they were really cool set pieces and they weren't too over the top. So yeah, levels are a huge ass improvement from the last game, and so did the gameplay. Now this is how an actual game feels like. Gameplay is good with a few small minor hiccups here and there, and I'll address those later. But like I said before, kills feel satisfying and rewarding with the whole new X-ray cam. The first game had a little bit of a slow-mo cam when you saw enemies, but being able to see your enemies' bones and organs get eviscerated is just something else, man. And it's all the more useful with a new breath control feature that slows down time now and gives your crosshair of where your bullet is exactly going to hit, no matter the distance or wind, making it easier for more casual players like me. That's another thing I almost forgot to mention. There's a lot of complexity when it comes to Sniper Elite, especially in the next 3 games. If you really want a realistic, gritty, simulated sniper game, this is it for you. It's really something else and something I didn't really expect. I just thought it was going to be a basic third-person shooter with snipers in it in World War II and X-ray cams and all that shit. But if you really want to, you can get as complex as you want, and even in the later games, it's going to let you tweak whatever you like. But if you also just want to shoot some stuff and don't want to worry about spending 5 minutes trying to track your trajectory and kind of measure it down, that's cool too. That's why this breath control option is great and made all my kills satisfying. Didn't feel like it was a crutch. That being said, the sniping in this game is put first, but the shooting on other guns kind of sucks. The only two guns you'll ever use is the sniper you're currently holding. They are different in the game. You slowly upgrade and pick up new ones, which is pretty cool. And the well rod, a single fire silenced pistol to take care of enemies close range and silently, making the takedowns literally useless because they take more time and you have to be right behind them. You'll also have an SMG of your choice. You can just pick them up from anywhere. Usually you'll have a Thompson, but these SMGs really fucking blow. The accuracy on the thing is awful and it sprays so much you barely get a hit or two, further encouraging you towards stealth and sniping, which is great, but in cases where it's an all-out shootout like that set piece I was talking about when it's two factions fighting each other, yeah, you could just sit back and snipe them from afar, but eventually they're going to start targeting you, and there's a lot of them, so there's only so much you can do from doing pop shots every time. So yeah, it'd be nice that the only gun that was useful in this game wasn't a sniper. I know it's in the name, but still. Later on you do get a semi-auto sniper, but still, what's the point of having SMGs if you barely have ammo for it, and if the accuracy up close is so terrible? You'll have a few gadgets here and there and some tools that you can use, but most of them you don't really use. I used the rock a couple times to lure a couple enemies, but yeah, that's about it. I feel like some of the earlier levels could have had sections where you could use them more usefully and encourage you more to use them, like in Rage 2, where they give you a small section where you can use it. That way you have a good idea of how to use it and when to use it. But what do I know? I'm an unemployed 20-year-old, so I'm just talking out of my ass here. Sniper Elite V2 was a huge improvement on the first, but it wasn't perfect. While the linear level structure was well made, I feel like with all these gameplay improvements, they could have made more open levels. Have one or two here and there, and I know they do that in the next games, but just putting out there, you know? And I feel like the secondaries should do more damage and be more accurate, not feel completely useless. And same goes for the tools that you have. I know that they are there to encourage stealth more, but you can do so with a scoring system like in Hitman Absolution. Oh wait, they do that. Oh, okay. I remember being super excited for this game because it was early in the PS4 life cycle or whatever, and there wasn't much to play at the time. And then it came out and I watched a couple streams of it, and then I completely forgot about it. So yeah, I completely forgot about it for some reason, and honestly, the series in general, until the fourth game came out and I got it for free for PlayStation Plus, but we'll get there. So yeah, it was the only one in the series I didn't really play. So yeah, it was the only one in the series other than the first game that I didn't really play, so I bought it for this video, and yeah, let's just fucking go right now. So the level design in this game is perfect for what they're trying to accomplish, and honestly makes sense with you being a sniper and all. These are big open levels with multiple objectives and points of interest, making it so you have multiple ways of approaching each and every level. And yeah, sure, they all end with the same shooting the guy or getting the thing or whatever, but it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. Planning out your route, patiently waiting and studying guards' movements, waiting for that perfect window of opportunity feels so satisfying. I just wish the map wasn't so clunky to get to, though, but I digress. Not only that, you also get optional objectives now, giving you more of a reason to explore these missions and sometimes even make your main objective easier. Destroying a garage full of enemy vehicles, making it easier to lure the guards to that direction and giving you that opportunity to slip past them. Taking out the guards at towers to ensure your swift escape and make sure you're not spotted. All in all, the level design is very good. Gameplay is pretty much the same as the last game, with tiny tweaks here and there. SNGs and other secondaries are still a little weak, but at least are now somewhat useful and give you more ammo than they did in the last game. You have a weapon wheel now with all your tools and shit, and it's awesome. First time opening up this weapon wheel, I was very happy with the amount of selection and tools you get. Obviously, you don't have them all at once. Most of them, you have to find them throughout the level, but it's cool seeing like dynamite, and it's like, okay, I need to find the dynamite in this level, and maybe I could use it in this objective over here. One side thing, though, that I really feel like I should be adding here, if you buy the Ultimate Edition of the game, which is like $8 when it's on sale, and honestly it's the one you should be getting anyway, you get the semi-automatic HDM, which is a semi-automatic science pistol, and let me just say, you can pretty much go through the whole game with this thing. So beware or fucking go for it. John Wick your way through Africa for all I care. It is a very, very, very good weapon that one-shots pretty much every enemy in the game and has really good range, and you have a lot of bullets and you don't have to fucking constantly reload every time you shoot once. You can pop balls now in the game, which is cool, I guess. But yeah. One thing that I really liked and that they added was a new progression system. Getting XP for kills, long shots, ball shots, takedowns, and completing objectives, giving you the chance to level up and get more guns and attachments, is a really good idea. Unless you got the Ultimate Edition and you already have some of the best guns in the game. But yeah, it's a cool idea that they added, and actually kind of encourages you to do the multiplayer, because that also crosses over with the campaign progression, which is kind of cool. Honestly, this is a great game. I didn't have any complaints other than sometimes the stealth doesn't really work and the AI can be really, really stupid at once. Yeah, one major complaint I had was with the tanks and how sometimes the game forces you to fight these things, but like, why? Yeah, I get it, it's a different kind of enemy, but honestly, I feel like the focus on infantry is way better. Fighting these tanks is kind of annoying, having to shoot them constantly in the engine or the tank, the fuel tank or whatever, but I just did not enjoy fighting these things, especially when you fought two at once sometimes. It's not the atrocious 3 tank level from the first game, but still. But yeah, remove tanks, focus on infantry, make levels bigger and more objectives. Oh, and add a better map to access. So yeah, at this point, I had lost all interest in the series, and then PlayStation decided for this game to be free for PS Plus, and I was like, alright, sounds good. So I played the first couple levels and then dropped it, because I realized that all the levels were the same, and boy was I wrong. But yeah, other than that, I didn't know much about the game before playing it. This was actually the first game in the series I owned and played. The first game in the series I actually played was the second game, but this is the first game I owned and played through. So yeah, I was really excited to play this, and then realized that it's all the same. But honestly, after playing all the games back to back, made me realize how fucking great this game is. So let's get into it. Still retaining that very same open level structure from the last game, just bigger and better, giving you more objectives to do, more tools at your disposal that really pretty much perfected the mission structure of the series. So yeah, not much more to say here, other than I wish the stealth was more improved. Stealth is still kinda iffy, but it can't always be perfect. Stealth is more heavily reliant though in some levels, and all you can do is crouch and hide in bushes and shit. Yeah, you have now silenced bullets, which is really cool, but I wish there were a couple more options other than that. I don't know, I wish there was more to do in order to be more discreet, have like a ghillie suit or something, but that's my only complaint. Yeah, same as the last, with a whole lot more options to do though. You can now climb shit now, and has a little bit more verticality, which is really cool. A lot more tools and stuff to work with, and a good map that is clear on everything to do. You have more sniping options, secondaries aren't shit anymore, which I really appreciate, and actually do damage, and don't have that crazy recoil. Honestly guys, it's the perfect sniping game What more can I say? I highly recommend this one. The only improvements I can say here in this game is better stealth options, better AI, and more secondary options. So yeah, that's that. In my opinion, 3 and 4 are the best in the series, and I would highly recommend them to anyone that enjoys stealth games in one way or another. Sure, the second game is fine, but it's kind of compared to the newer titles, and we can just forget about the first one. That never happened. But yeah, I highly recommend you play at least 2 through 4, mainly 3 and 4, because those are perfect on its own. If you enjoy Metal Gear Solid 5 or the Hitman series, these are great games for you, and really give you a lot of options when approaching each and every objective in these games. That being said, this is a great series. I really hope you guys can check it out or pick it up. Just the last 3 games. First game, don't even, just ignore that happened. It's just 2, 3, and 4. Play those games. Those games are great. That being said, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. If there are any other series you would like for me to do a retrospective on, please leave a recommendation down in the comments. I'm not doing any Assassin's Creed or Call of Duty series right now because those are like 15 games in each series, and let's be real, that's going to take way too long. Short series would be nice. Right now I'm thinking about a couple more series I want to do. Anywho, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.